97%. That is how likely you are to fail at the talking stage. Because 97% of talking stages never materialize into actual, meaningful, consequential relationships. And the reason for that is very simple. It's because men keep making ridiculously obvious, easily avoidable mistakes in the talking stage. Men view the talking stage like a minefield of sorts that they have to crawl their way through and hope to God they don't get blown up. But what if you had someone to show you where the mines are so you don't step on them? You see what I'm saying? That's where I come in. I've come up with a very simple, easy to implement strategy for getting through the talking stage smoothly. This is a strategy I've used myself and I've given to hundreds of my students all around the world. So this is pretty much guaranteed to work for you as long as you use this concept correctly, right? The context is important. The way you go about implementing is important. And we're going to get into all of that right now. By the end of this video, the talking stage shouldn't be a scary thing to you anymore, right? You should be able to have the confidence to move through it and know exactly what to do, exactly what pitfalls to avoid, etc., etc., etc. Oh, and by the way, this will work on just anybody. Like literally, it'll work for just about anybody. I don't really know a single person that it hasn't worked for if they did it correctly. All right. So this is how it works. It's a very simple thing. But before we have to talk about the actual strategy and the implementation of the strategy itself, we first have to clear up a few misconceptions that you may have about the talking stage because your mindset here is important. If you don't understand the correct mental approach to this, then you're not going to even be able to use this particular strategy. Okay, so let's get into that. Here's the first thing you have to understand, right? The talking stage, as much as you've been taught to believe this, is not meant to be a minefield. It is not some kind of place that's designed to keep you there or to make you fail. No, 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 no. Women don't put you through the talking stage because they want you to fail. If anything, they want you to succeed. A woman is dying to meet the kind of guy that can go through the talking stage with her smoothly, right? But understand that the talking stage exists because women are safety oriented. Safety is the game. This right here is the foundational reason for the talking stage. It exists because women are safety oriented creatures. And so you can think of the talking stage as more of like a buffer between when you first exchange contact information with her to when you actually enter a relationship with her. It's like a way for her to give herself some kind of a trailer or a teaser into what being in a relationship with you would be like before they actually commit themselves to one, right? So within that talking stage, there's going to be a lot of testing, a lot of testing, right? A lot of testing. And as a result, a lot of, get this, very important, framing. So testing and framing. In reality, in game, those two things are really, interchangeable. They're pretty much the same thing, right? They're not that far off or that different because testing is framing and framing is testing. But the reason I'm putting them two in separate boxes over here, if you will, is because you want to understand things from the woman's point of view. From her point of view, all you are is some random guy that she just met. So she has to make sure that not only are you the guy that you claim to be, right, the big, strong, attractive man that she thinks you are, but you also have to have the ability, right, to lead her correctly. This is where the framing comes in. So you can think of the talking stage as a way to see your ability to lead her from a verbal and conversational point of view. That's the test right there. That's one of the major tests. If she sees that she can essentially, right, let's put her over here with her nice hair and a skirt, I guess, and this is you over here, and you're big and strong. Those are your muscles. And she notices that she has the ability within the talking stage to juxtapose her will over you, then you're not going to make it out of the talking stage. It's not possible. Women do not respect men they can control or manipulate. And as a result, they cannot find those men attractive. It's impossible. It is impossible to generate attraction with a woman that doesn't respect you, that doesn't look up to you, that can control and manipulate you. The talking stage is where they test their ability to control and manipulate you, right? Now, you're probably asking, how can I show her within the talking stage that I cannot be controlled or manipulated? And I'm sure this is the part where I'm supposed to give some kind of amazing speech about self-respect and having a high self-belief, and all those things are important. Don't get it twisted. Very important. Self-respect, self-belief, blah blah. But in reality, the solution is a lot simpler. This is where we're getting into that actual strategy that I was talking about earlier. Remember what I said? Changing your way of viewing the talking stage in general. You're thinking of the talking stage as some kind of a vetting process for her is a good first step. But that in itself is why you're failing the test of the talking stage. The real test of the talking stage, the way to pass the test of the talking stage, is to realize that the talking stage is not something that has been put in place to vet you. That's not what it's for. What it should be seen as by you, and this is the major mental shift you have to make moving forward. The talking stage is a prison. Yes, a prison of your making that you create. Again, her with her nice skirt and her long hair. A prison of your making that you create for her. This is her behind bars. Oh no, get me out. No, you trap me out. That is what the talking stage should be. That is how you should view it. That is how, from now on, you should use the talking stage. The talking stage is a mental and psychological prison that you keep her in and you don't let her out of until she begs you to let her out. And this is very important. Now, how is this possible? And why is this even the thinking? How is this something that's even possible? How can you put a woman in a mental prison called the talking stage? It's very simple. Because we already know from evolutionary psychology that women are not just safety oriented creatures, right? Like I said before. Almost spelled safety with the H. How embarrassing is that? And yes, I'm Nigerian. I say H, not H. It's a H sound, so it's H, nigga. Anyway, not only do we know that women are safety oriented, we also know that they are validation seeking creatures. So they're safety oriented and they're very validation motivated. I always use the analogy of dog training. If you think of a dog as women, bitches, I guess, you see the joke there. If you think of a dog as a woman, the dog food is the validation. And our ability to intermittently give dogs dog food or treats, high or low value treats, depending on the behavior they exhibit, is exactly why we have the ability to train dogs. When the dog does something we want, give it a treat. When it doesn't do something we want, we don't give it a treat. The exact same operant conditioning works on women because of our ability to control this validation. What exactly is validation? As far as women are concerned, it's actually very simple. Hold on, drop my little chalk pencil. Our validation, our ability to give women validation comes down to our time, our energy, right? And our, well, it's kind of, it's involved in our time, but I like to put it as a separate thing, our attention. Or some people would say our focus, right? Attention, focus, undivided attention, whatever you want to call it. Our time, our energy, our attention. These are the things we can give women that validate them, that they feel good when we give it to them, that they're motivated to chase relentlessly, right? So imagine if we use, for a second, right? Think about this, just follow me here. Imagine we used our time, our energy, our attention as a little dog treat, right? A little dog treat that we can use to beckon on women and control their behavior. So here's us holding the little dog treat. That's again our validation. Probably can't even see me writing it that small, but I'm going to anyway because you know what it is, validation. That's us holding our validation. And there goes the woman relentlessly chasing. Those are fucked up legs, but you get the point. Look at her legs. She bow-legged. Oh my god, what am I doing? Relentlessly chasing our validation. The more validation we give, the less likely she's to chase, though. Don't forget that part. So we have to be careful with how we distribute this to her so that the sense of urgency to keep chasing it is going to keep being there. I have lost my other pencil. Gonna have to sharpen this one. Oh well. We have to use our validation correctly. That way, the sense of urgency to keep chasing it is already there. What happens when you give the dog the entire bowl or bag of treats or bowl of food? Well, it's no longer going to chase you because that with you is no longer where the food or the treat is. Same thing with women. If you give them the validation for free without making them work for it, without there being an extended amount of time to work for it, they're not going to value you. They're going to always value validation, but they're not going to value you, the source. They're not going to see you as a source of validation. So, what the talking stage is, as a mental prison you keep the woman in, is a way to keep them in one place so that you can constantly control your feeding of validation towards them. Why would you want to do that? Because, again, that is how you get their sense of urgency up to want more of your time and attention. Really think about this. You got her in your metaphorical prison. You're feeding her the scraps of your time and attention and energy. What do you think she's thinking from within that prison? She's thinking, wow, this is not enough. I'm not living good out here. I want more of this. I want more time. I want more energy. I want more effort. I want more validation from this guy. And that right there, that starving her within the prison called the talking stage, is what will give her the urgency to want to get out of the talking stage without you having to do all that damn convincing or extra shit or anything like that. You're literally putting her in a position, right? It's always position before submission, position where she's going to be the one to do all the work to get out of the talking stage. See? Now, brilliant. I know, fucking brilliant. Genius, 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 genius. I do what I can. What can I say? God has blessed me with intellect. Now, what does this look like in practice? It's very simple. Here you are. Here she is. She got a big ass head. Hey, big head. Damn, her hair fucked up too. Cheap ass weave. Bitch ain't got no class. If you understood that reference, we're friends now. This is her. This is you. You're feeding her the scraps of your validation. She's in your little prison. And the promise is, if she behaves herself, she might break out of prison one day. You might decide to let her out and, take her around town and have a good time. Show her a little bit more of yourself, which is what she's longing for. Now, what would that prison actually look like in practice? It's very simple. When you're still talking and texting this woman, right? Because a lot of the talking stage we have nowadays, it's happening online, right? It's happening over the phone. It's happening uh, over the internet in general, right? This is how you're doing it. When you're on the phone with her, you're texting, you're talking, you're making sure you're putting a clamp. What I say? Clamp over your time you're giving her, how often you're texting her, and the kind of information you're choosing to volunteer about yourself within this context. Very important. One of the most avoidable but most common mistake most men make in the talking stage is that they think it's an opportunity for them to show out. Yeah, let me show this girl everything I am, everything that I'm made of, everything that I can do for her, right? They put themselves on display, they advertise themselves to the bitch. I'm gonna market myself in this way, I'm gonna show her I can do this. In their mind, they think they're out competing other men. And yes, that is the right thing to do, is to out compete other men, but they're going about doing it the wrong way because they're blowing their load too early. See? That's not what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is give her just enough of a taste to make her want to keep coming back for more. But then make sure you use that taste to string her along to an actual meal. Literally. If you want to go out on a date with this girl or whatever the hell you want to do. The irony of getting to the talking stage and passing all the tests in the talking stage is that the real men who pass the test in the talking stage don't allow themselves to get tested. They're the ones that do the testing. That's why the gap between the 97% and the 3% is so far apart, because the mindset is the quite literal opposite of each other. There's 97% of men out there that genuinely believe that they have to go through all these tests, they have to crawl through the mud and go under the barbed wires and tiptoe through the minefield. And then there's guys like me over here that are putting the women through the obstacle course. What do you think is going to be the result for those two kinds of men at the end of the talking stage? One man is going to be hoping and praying with his fingers crossed that the woman gives him a chance at her, and the other man is going to be the one making the woman praying with her fingers crossed, hoping that he gives her a chance. It's really that simple, right? Now, what does it look like in practice? That looks like you completely taking control of the narrative and holding the frame. That's really what it comes down to. The reason she'll begin to see you as a source of validation for her, that she can begin to chase the validation of relentlessly, is because you hold control of the narrative and the frame so well that she begins to believe that she's the one getting vetted. That's the genius of all of this. The talking stage, by design, has been socially engineered by women to be a vetting stage, a vetting process for them, right? To vet us with. Your job is very simple. Make it so that she believes that she's the one getting vetted. It's really that simple. You gotta approach her from the jump, even before the so-called talking stage properly kicks off, like you are the one that needs to be impressed in this situation. She is the one that needs to sell herself to you. You are the one interviewing her. That's really it. You take that simple mindset and you apply it to every single talking stage. Not only will that completely change the results you get, that's the easy part, honestly, but it'll also genuinely shock you how well these women will begin to treat you, the level of compliance you get from them, and how quickly you get it from them. That's the fun part to me, honestly, is not just seeing how much you get in terms of like the results, but the genuine change in the way these women behave around you. If you want more idea of how this works, like really solid, concrete details and examples that'll really help you along with this, I highly, highly encourage you to get my flagship course, The Interview. It literally discusses this entire concept in its entirety, and it goes into a lot more painful detail. Painful detail. I say the word painful in jest, of course. It's like great detail. It's amazing detail. From getting the woman in person or online, all the way from the approach to incorporating her into your life, as in consummating your affair, right? So if you need more information on all that, get the interview. That's going to be the best resource available on the market right now to help you along with this entire process. And yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know for now. I'll catch you in the next video. It's been Jason, your favorite scientist. Do with all this information what you must.